If there's one superhero that everyone universally knows, it's Spider-Man. Spider-Man is the embodiment of heroism, someone who is always willing to help his community or his fellow friends, and Marvel Spider-Man PS4 made that motivation very known throughout the game. With no backstory or anything, you immediately jump into Peter Parker's shoes just like any ordinary day for him, tagging in on his adventure. It's almost a perfect intro in its execution about the web-slinging hero that it's almost no different than its movie counterpart. The grand, gigantic, misshapen buildings that New York City is known for is accurately depicted in PS4 Spider-Man. The streets are filled with hundreds of different people on the sidewalk at once, complimenting you or even offering a high five. Some people point out to you a lost backpack or another tower you missed. Some people publicly express their distaste for you out in the open. Some might even pull a gun on you to really express their distaste for you. Cars are constantly beeping, constantly stopping, simulating New York City and its traffic patterns. New York City feels limitless. It seems like a one-to-one recreation of the actual spot in the game. The actual New York City is so big, it's a mere dream that they designed a whole city perfectly for Spider-Man to swing through each location in. It plays with that strength so well that it feels like you are Spider-Man, with a huge asterisk on it. PS4 Spider-Man is strikingly beautifully made, but it's just that, a mere spectacle. You are Spider-Man. That's limited. Look, I love my time with PS4 Spider-Man. I think it is a great game for anyone who is new to gaming that can pick up and have a great time with. But when you play more of the game, the cracks starts to show itself more and more while you play. I have a lot of good and bad things to say about the game, but I want to kick off everything with the central thing that is so important to Spider-Man's whole character and what makes people enjoy playing as Spider-Man: the swinging. Swinging in PS4 Spider-Man is so much fun for the first half of the game. I'm not saying it gets less or more fun when time goes on, but it doesn't improve or you feel like you're getting new moves. Let's compare these two clips. Which one looks like I've been playing longer in? Well, if you said right, you're wrong. It's the left one, but how can you really tell? It feels almost as they perfected the swing animation and just left it at that. There's so much more that they could have done with swinging. Maybe over time, the more you get new abilities, the more tricks and abilities you can use while swinging. You are quite literally doing the same moves as you did in the very beginning of the game. In the skills tab, you can also unlock a skill to do tricks, but you're only really holding one button and moving the right joystick in any direction. It's definitely a nice addition to Spider-Man's character, but it's not exactly something I imagine most people will use. I think this is a reasonable critique on something that I personally think is something they actually did incredibly well in this game. They perfected the swinging in PS4 Spider-Man. They nailed what it means to fly through New York at light speeds, the little tricks Peter does while you glide through the air, using little points on buildings or light poles to propel yourself higher and maintaining your attitude. The amazing sights you get from a fictional New York City high up in the sky makes up for an unforgettable, unique gaming experience. It's pretty cool time going from point A to point B. I don't even find myself using the fast travel feature because I do really enjoy swinging a lot in the game, but it's also hindered by being so perfect. You're not learning anything new, and that is a shame. Now that we are on the topic of Spider-Man abilities, I also want to touch on its combat. Unlike its swinging counterpart, you will be learning new abilities and skills over time while you play the game. Each combat encounter feels really fun. I honestly really enjoyed the creativity of some of the combat moves and what combos can you pull off while chaining everything together. If I had to choose one word to describe everything coming together, it would be satisfying. Spider-Man unlocks equipment to help him in battle, like his own web shooters, a web ball, trip mine, and other items that can assist Spider-Man take out enemies and can be used pretty dang creatively. Spider-Man also is able to pull enemies up in the air, then swing in the air to hit them, or how about he can yank weapons away from the enemies and throw them right back at them. Speaking of yanking, he can grab everyday objects like trash cans, random boxes, enemy explosives, and throw it at the enemy to give them a stun. Spider-Man also has finishers, which gives a mini cinematic of Spider-Man basically beating up an enemy in a really flashy way, but it costs focus points to execute them. But man, like, Like, it's just really cool to see them for the first 3 hours in the game. I explain all of this because over the course of the game, enemies get more powerful and discover counters to your attack, meaning you have to adapt to their counters. For example, pretty early on in the game, you will encounter brutes where you can't fight them one-on-one. Instead, you will have to either empty your web clip to web them up completely, or you throw things at them. Another example is you encounter enemies who have shields and you cannot fight them fist to shield. Instead, you will have a move where you go under them and hit them from behind instead. These two examples demonstrate that enemies do adapt to your playstyle over the course of the game, meaning you have to switch up how you play, and I love that they did this. It ensures that you are constantly switching up your attacks and your approaches to how you interact with other enemies. To add onto the already tons of equipment that's in your toolbox, with each new suit that you can create, you also access suit ultimates. These suit ultimates charge up over time and can be unleashed. These can be mixed and matched with different suits. So let's say you have the negative suit with the Spider-Man ultimate, for example. Now I say all this to say I really enjoyed Spider-Man's combat throughout the whole entire game. It has a combo system to make it even more worthwhile, but there is some problems to a very simple style of combat. For starters, just attacking, you have to spam square repeatedly throughout the whole entire game, and it's just a little too boring and basic. Look, I get it, it's supposed to be simple, but games like Batman Arkham Knight does a great job at not making it such a spammy mess, with the combat being more complex, using your gadgets and counters to your advantage when it's presented to you to keep your combo up. It's honestly a perfect combat system if I'm going to be honest. It makes you feel like you're Batman. Another issue I have is just how the gadgets that I was talking about earlier, the gadgets are honestly really unbalanced, that it makes some gadgets actually more useful than others. Throughout my whole entire playthrough, I only used wet bomb and trip mines, mostly because they legit was always a one shot, taking them out of the fight. I would almost always in the beginning of the fight throw 2 wet bombs and get multiple people stunned or even multiple KOs. The fight just becomes so much more quicker, and I don't like that, even though it's designed to be quick, that it makes the other 2 web type abilities useless. Yes, I like the idea of a wet bomb being able to stun a group, but don't make it where it can one-shot most people in the group. That will sway people to use that for their whole entire playthrough instead of just mixing it up. Trip mines have that same exact issue except to a lesser extent. Instead of multiple people, it will web 1 or 2 people in one small area. How it's introduced is you stick it on a surface area and you lure them to the mine, but how and probably many others used it is as simple as placing it on somebody and instantly webbing them, especially since you can get 3 mines. That's 3 hydrogen bombs that you have in your arsenal. Not only as those 2 gadgets are overpowered, I didn't even feel the need to switch to other gadgets because you can't automatically press one button and switch to different gadgets. You have to manually hold one button, scroll a bit to find the desired gadget and then select it. With all this happening, you're slowed down and whatever flow of combat you're in will get stopped temporarily. I know this sounds very nitpicky, but I hardly switch my gadgets since it just takes me out of the fight completely when I try to switch gadgets, and the game doesn't really encourage switching gadgets neither, so I felt no need to switch to normal web shoes, whereas I could just equip a web bomb and do just as well, if not way better, than if I did have to switch. I'm going to use Batman Arkham Knight once again because they did the gadget system also very well. Instead of holding one button and strolling through the wheel whatever, you press a button to the corresponding gadget, so it helps incorporate his gadgets into his free flow combat combo. That's what Spider-Man should have did. Along to that, in stealth, you're supposed to be aware of your surroundings. Well, in this game, you don't really need to be. You could just press a single button and it will tell you if an enemy is safe to take down or not. Throughout my game, I didn't even bother to use this because it just made stealth more boring. I rather guess by my own instincts if someone is safe to take down or not, and most times they was safe to take out because of my own instincts. The combat for the most part is very enjoyable, but the actual in-depth combat experience is flawed in execution, and all the reasons are why. Now that we established the very gritty details of Spider-Man's kit, I want to talk about the actual world that is PS4 Spider-Man. In the very beginning of this video, I praised Insomniac for this grand representation of New York City, and I still feel like they did a spectacular job at making New York City as big as it is for Spider-Man to swing through. Every single tower or little cone piece of a building Spider-Man can zip to it and get a large boost off of it. It's pretty good, but to give the players more stuff to do, they introduced many collectibles throughout New York City. The first two combat collectibles that I want to start off with are crimes and base tokens. Let's start with crimes since I believe they are the funnest to play. Crimes are mini events that happens at various points in the map randomly. Some requires you to swing through buildings to get to a certain car that's causing havoc on the road and stopping the car. Others have you go into a certain location that's inside of a store and the camera goes static, making it easier to see, which I honestly thought that was pretty creative. But my favorite one is just enemies hanging out in one place as a group. It's my personal favorite because it tests how high can one combo go. Soft transitioning to bases. It's the same thing as crimes, except usually they are in one big place and you have to defeat all of the enemies. Just what I outlined in the crimes section, it tests how much you can maintain your combos by using everything in your kit and specific moves to keep that combo going. Backpacks, Black Cat's minifigures, and landmark tokens are just normal collectibles around the map. You collect them, then you be on your way. Except for the Black Cat and landmark tokens, you have to take pictures for those. The very last one are these lab things, and they are just, just tiny little mini games where, you have to go through one place or you have to talk to one guy or whatever like that. I just thought, it was fun addition to the game, just not my favorite thing. I just prefer combat related things, but that's just me. All of these combining to a big city gives you a lot to do and it makes the world feel more immersive, and that's kind of what I feel like Spider-Man did a really good job at. It feels like they made the whole entire game feels more grand. And that's what I like about it. Spider-Man, I already admitted to this, but Spider-Man is a spectacle. It's supposed to look fancy. I think its representation is really, really good. And we could talk about like the actual gameplay side of things, but it's pretty spot on with how I expected Spider-Man to play as. Now for the very expressive characters and story, I primarily want to hone in all of our attention on the character that we are in charge of for the whole entire game, and that is Spider-Man. The widely heroic character is so perfectly illustrated throughout the game, going from his very highs to his very lows. He's always doing what's right, and I really love this version of Spider-Man. During the whole game, he has his little snarky remarks and his silly, witty humor he uses towards enemies or big bosses, and it definitely gets a chuckle out of me pretty often. The story writing for Spider-Man, I believe, is really, really good. His interactions with each character throughout the game makes me await cutscenes to see how each interaction would go. Spider-Man is done really well here. The next character I want to talk about is MJ. Spider-Man's lover. Well, in this game, they actually break up before the event of PS4 Spider-Man. Over time, Peter and MJ talk more, and MJ tries to help Peter uncover some crimes throughout the whole entire game. There's one time where he messes up a case, and she gets really upset about it because she was just so close to something, and he saves her. I spoke about Spider-Man first because he is all about saving people constantly, but MJ had a problem with him always saving her. She even alludes to this about why they broke up because of this same reason. MJ wants to assist with helping uncover the truth, and sometimes that does mean stretching her own limits and not being saved. She have little gameplay segments where we have to use lures and stealth around the place to get to where we need to go. Over time, Peter learns to trust that she can do this. She doesn't always need a hero when she's in danger, but she needs someone who she can depend on when there is danger. This whole side plot makes me love MJ as a character because they made her capable of holding her own, not just deemed as someone who's always saved by Spider-Man. Especially towards the end of the game, they are alluded to getting back together. I think it's worth it to also talk about Miles. They did a phenomenal job setting up Miles for the second game. Jefferson Davis, or Miles' dad, was working with Spider-Man during a mission, and he saved Spider-Man. He was planning to get a medal, but he saved the mayor, who is Norman, from getting blown up basically. He died on impact after, and Miles was heavily grieving really badly. Thankfully, Peter suggested to Miles' mom that he should work at Feast to clear his mind. I also forgot to mention, Miles met Spider-Man and he taught him how to fight. Continuing the game, he started off as being a scrawny little kid to being another Spider-Man towards the end of the game. Miles, reflecting on his dad dying and what his dad represented to him, made him a perfect candidate to be chosen as the next Spider-Man. Soft transitioning to Aunt May, she's just a really good support character overall. I mean, I don't have much to say about her, but she does contribute to the most heartbreaking scene in the whole entire game, when she asked Peter to take off the mask on her deathbed. She even said she knew he was Spider-Man the whole entire game. It was just mind-blowing, especially with Peter wanting to save her, but that means he would be killing thousands of other people. That just made her sacrifice so much more impactful to the overall story. It was such a powerful message. I'm pretty sure I cried after this. I'm gonna be straight up with you. Now for the villains: Doc Ock, Mr. Negative, Wilson Fisk, and the Sinister Six. I will make this very quick because it's not really a lot of people. Wilson Fisk is a big bad villain for the first 2 hours, then nothing happens with him afterwards. I really do think they should have done more with his character. Maybe during like the breakout scene or whatever like that, he comes back and he's like the big bad person that you have to defeat, like maybe I wouldn't say towards the end of the game, but just kind of, you know, like maybe like before you fight Dr. Octavius or something like that. I don't know. They just completely forgot about I completely forgot about him. But he isn't the most important character here. During the span of the game, you are friends with two people, Dr. Octavius and Martin Lee. These two characters are important to Peter in some way. Like, Peter's job is to help Dr. Octavius come up with new inventions, and Martin Lee take care of Feast along with Aunt May. Dr. Octavius have a strong distaste in his ex-friend Norman Osborn, and when he builds arms for the first time, he kind of loses control and wants to take out Norman instead. Well, turns out Martin Lee is Mr. Negative, and he can turn people into being negative instead. These two, along with the Sinister Six, team up to defeat Norman Osborn, but also defeat Spider-Man. Of course, it doesn't go to plan, but everything leading up to the final mission, where it's nighttime, it's raining, the music is dramatic, tensions are high. It's so beautifully crafted that I wish I had the time to replay Spider-Man just for this moment again. The final fight with Dr. Octavius and him revealing that he knew about Peter being Spider-Man was so awesome. The fight was so cool. It was almost just, I feel like the developers put so much love into this moment of the game, because like, oh my gosh, like it was just so good. It was good. There was a lot of post-credit scenes, like Miles revealing to Peter that he is another Spider-Man, and Norman going to some lab experiment and put his hand on it. That's apparently, that's rumored that like that's his child or something, but I mean, like, I didn't like get too far into that segment, like, but I said it was gonna be quick, so yeah. But overall, PS4 Spider-Man is still spectacular, sort of. The game have a lot of moments, and I'm honestly satisfied with the game overall, and I highly recommend it. There is a few criticisms that's mainly lies in the combat and the swinging being flawed in some type of way. I thought the whole entire story though was phenomenal, and this being my first critique video, I kind of didn't know how to criticize properly. But I did pinpoint that even if the combat is a good addition to what Spider-Man is, it definitely was really flawed and unbalanced. I thought it was a afterthought, to be honest. I think Spider-Man is still a amazing game that I think everybody who loves gaming should at least give it a try. Just give it a try once. It's honestly really good, and I am happy to close this video out positively. So yeah, thank you for watching this video. Bye now.